Sandeep and Brian, and welcome to Your Money LLP. Based on the information we have provided, we've created a financial budget for you that accompanies your investment portfolios and potential life decisions that you're going to make in the future. To begin with, we're going to be starting off with your wedding because that is up and coming based off your financial budget, followed by relocation benefits of moving to Winnipeg. We're also going to be taking a look at maternity benefits and the financial impact of children when you decide to start your family. Lastly, we're going to be looking at the retirement planning and an appendix that showcases all of our calculations to support our decisions. So as an overall executive summary, we're going to be looking at the wedding budgets tips. We recommend that you go from your $30,000 budget to your $20,000 budget by looking at some of the factors that we're going to be presenting in this case. We're also recommending that you move to Winnipeg due to higher salary, the change in pension plan, and followed by a whole process of how you can purchase a home. We're also going to be taking a look at some childcare benefits that you may be looking into, such as tax credits, RESPs, and potential tuition credits that can be forwarded from your child to your tax returns. Lastly, we're going to be looking at retirement planning, which consists of saving strategies such as RRSPs, TFSAs, and also a look at how your investment portfolio should be divided through index funds, mutual funds, stocks, and any sort of fixed security income. And then lastly, for an overarching view, we're going to be helping you budget your plan through various different methods depending on the stage of the life that you're in. We're going to be taking a look at your budget and allocating it towards your wedding. So you've said that you have a budget of $30,000. When we did our external research, we figured out that based on the Better Business Bureau, on average it's roughly around $30,000 for a wedding. However, we recommend that you should do $20,000 for a wedding. And this is because there's so many different cost measuring savings that you can do in order to reduce your wedding. For example, venue takes up about 36% of your wedding. Therefore, in order to reduce your venue expenses, what you can do is you can try booking a venue that's not on a weekend because they tend to be a lot more pricier than on a weekday. Furthermore, you can also try having the location of your wedding on a more outside of the metropolitan city, maybe in a country club or a golf club because they tend to be a little bit more cheaper. Also, food and beverages make up about 26% of your budget for a wedding, and therefore we recommend that maybe you should bring your own alcohol to the wedding. That could reduce the expense of food and beverages. Now, when you go on your lookout for your venues or your food, we want to make sure that you understand the idea of a wedding markup, which exists because when you tend to go to a venue and you say the word wedding, they tend to mark up the price because of how lucrative it is to get this venue for a specific date at a specific time. Therefore, potentially avoiding saying the purpose of this venue is for a wedding, you can avoid the markup.
After analyzing your 5-year personal balance sheet and after analyzing your 5-year cash flow projection, we have decided that you move to Winnipeg. And in the next slide, we will show you the ideal community for you and your future family to live in. But in that ideal community would have an average housing price of $300,000, and we recommend you put a down payment of 20%, and that down payment would be approximately $60,000. Attached to the appendix, we have put in a 25-year fixed close mortgage based off the prime rate of Canada, which is 5.34%. We've decided on Winnipeg ultimately because of you, Pardeep, since that there's a higher salary for you and a defined contribution plan, which is phenomenal since every dollar you put in, there's a 75% contribution done by your employer, and it only costs you 6% of your gross salary. Another benefit from moving from a defined benefit pension plan, which is your old LLP defined benefit pension plan, and moving to a different job in Winnipeg is that you would have 3 options: to collect your pension as a lump sum, or keep the funds within the pension plan, or you take a LIRA. And we recommend that you take the LIRA. Some of the taxable benefits that we will outline for you when you move to Winnipeg is the moving deductions or the moving expenses that you could take, and which will consist of transportation, insurance, vehicle expenses, meals and accommodations for you and your family when you are moving from city to city. And another taxable benefit for you is the highest tax bracket in Winnipeg is 17.4% of the highest income, which is $68,000, which is much, much lower compared to Toronto. And for Brian, we recommend for you to start claiming some home office expenses based off based off the percentage of the size of based off the percentage of the house you take to run your business. And these expenses could include your utilities and your property tax when you are claiming your personal expenses in your tax return, in your personal tax return. And we recommend that you put in your incorporation fees for a CCPC in order for you to claim a small business deduction of 18%, which is much lower than the normal tax rate for other corporations.
You mentioned you're looking forward to having kids in the near future, so we looked at potential maternity benefits available for you, both from the employer and the government. So one of which is the maximum 15 weeks of employment benefits. So this is a weekly benefit, and it's the lesser of 55% of your insurable earnings, or the maximum of your yearly insurable earning of 51,700. So one thing to keep in mind is during this stage, you're earning lower income, so you have lower retirement savings contribution, as well as kids are quite expensive, so you have more of your income going into spending on your kids than into your retirement savings. Another maternity benefit would be the standard parental benefit. So this is available to both yourself and Brian, but the one thing to keep in mind is if Brian does take on this benefit, he would be taking it from his corporation instead of, because he's self-employed and he owns his business. So we advise that Brian does not take on this advantage, but Pradeep does. However, one other factor to consider is asking Pradeep's new employer for a top-up policy. So top-up policy is basically your employer, based on the size of the company or her position in the company, Pradeep gets additional contribution from her employer into her maternity benefit from the government, which is a great incentive. So we know kids are expensive, so we looked at some tax benefits / incentive from kids. One of which is the RRSP. So the RRSP is a registered educational savings plan for her kids. So right now, Pradeep, you have the option you get to contribute $25,000 into the savings plan, and by doing so, you basically get $500 from the government as an incentive for saving for education. So another savings plan for kids would be the tax benefits. So basically anything from your nanny's expense to childcare expenses, you get to deduct that on your tax return, either yourself or Brian. Additionally, childcare benefits from the government of Ontario, of the government of Canada, which ranges from $4,000 to $6,000 depending on the age of the child. So these are different options we saw available for having kids and moving forward in the future.
In terms of investment vehicles, you're looking at two major investment vehicles, your TFSA and your RRSP. Your TFSA, you can contribute up to $6,000 starting in 2019. As the contribution limit has just been raised. And if you have never had a TFSA account before, you have that open contribution room from the age of 18 to your current age. We expect your TFSA to be compounded annually at 4%. And also what you should note about your TFSA is that it does not reduce your taxable income. But when you do withdraw the income at the age of 65, which is what we planned on, that income comes to you tax-free. For this reason, we expect you to withdraw that income first before your RRSP. Now, when we look at your RRSP, we also expect your RRSP to be compounded annually at 4%, and your contribution limit will vary based on the level of income you earn. We expect there to be a reduced RRSP contribution in the early years because you're making larger payments towards weddings and down payments on a house, but we expect there to be consistent payments after approximately the ages of 30. We want both of you to be withdrawing at 65, even though Pradeep will be retiring early. Brian should be making enough money to maintain that $75,000 standard of living. So when we consider your investment portfolio budget, the budget will change as you age. So between 20 to 30, you're looking at 10% cash and a huge investment in large cap stocks, international index funds. Now, when you move forward to 30 to 40, again, those riskier investments, they will be reduced and your cash holdings will increase to 15%. But also, as we age, we will start investing more and more into less risky securities like bonds. Moving forward to 40 to 50 and 50 to 60, you're looking at 50% bonds and 40 to 50, and 70% bonds in 50 to 60. Again, we're moving towards the less risky securities, so we're focusing on 15% cash, ETFs, and fixed income securities. Now, once you turn 60, this will be the portfolio for the remainder of your life. 70% will be invested in bonds, 15% in cash, 10% in fixed income securities, and 5% in exchange traded funds. This is the perfect allocation of risk for you moving forward. And the 15% of cash will be enough cash to hold you down for several years in case something happens in the market. You will be secure for several years, giving the market enough time to go back up. Moving forward, we also know that you guys will be entitled to old age security benefits. So an old age security benefit, the maximum amount you would receive is $7,040. But we have planned for the case that Brian may not be able to sell his business and he will just be also earning that income. And in that case, he'd receive a clawback of $919.50, which means the total OAS you would receive is $6,120.50. So Brian's business, we grew it at a 4% year-over-year annual rate, and the term of value is approximately $740,000, which we hope you guys will receive at age of 65. And now moving forward to Pardeep. Pardeep, we want you to contribute to a CPP plan, and the CPP plan, essentially both you and your employer will contribute to this plan at each of you will contribute 4.95% of your gross income towards this plan, although the first $3,500 of your annual income is exempt. The maximum payout is $1,134.17, but for Brian, we expect you to elect out of the CPP because you are self-employed and you would essentially be paying yourself. It would be more worthwhile for you to take it out as a dividend.
We want to provide you with some budgeting techniques that you can use in the future and currently in your everyday life. Initially, we want you to start off with the pay yourself principle, which ensures that you use an envelope method, which means that you would put money into an envelope allocated towards various different activities in your daily life, such as laundry, rent, utilities, and you can only use the money within that envelope for these specific purchases. What this allows you to do is it allows you to stay on budget and allocate your money more efficiently and effectively so that you know exactly how much you need in the future. Secondly, you can also consider SMART goals, which will help you determine exactly how to obtain specific large purchases such as a house or a car, which we've discussed previously in this presentation. Furthermore, one of the key things that you can do with your bank accounts is to create pre-automated checks that go directly from your bank account to your investment portfolios of RRSP and TFSAs. And the reason why this is beneficial is that first, it allows you to learn how to live on money without those investments so that you know how to stay on budget. Secondly, what it does is that it allows you to invest consistently into your portfolios. Therefore, these consistent investments will allow for higher returns as the interest that's accumulating in these accounts will increase over time. Moreover, we also recommend that you use your credit card often to increase your credit scores. And the reason for this is that in the future, you may potentially want to take out a loan. For example, the mortgage loan that you're going to take out. Higher credit score indicates lower interest rate and potential better terms for these potential loans in the future. Moreover, we also recommend that you consistently pay off your monthly bills so that it doesn't carry over and therefore impact your credit score. Now, if you want to take a look at the more long-term aspects, we suggest that you potentially start thinking into estate planning. And the reason why we say estate planning is because when we looked at your cash flow on your balance sheet, you tend to have a lot of financial assets that we wish that you would allocate towards certain individuals in your family, friends, or those closest to you. This means that maybe you should determine a power of attorney, maybe consider creating a will, or safeguarding your assets just so that it helps protect everything that you've worked so hard to build. Lastly, you can also take a look at insurance planning. For insurance plans, we mean life insurance, perhaps create life insurance for Pardeep and Brian. And you can also create life insurance for your children, which could be great tax benefits. And more importantly, you can also have life insurance for home ownerships to prevent any sort of damage that can potentially happen in the future. So overall, looking at your balance sheet and your cash flow statements for the next 5 years and potentially in the next 30 years, we recommend that you move to Winnipeg. And this is due to Pardeep getting a higher salary, the potential for a lower down payment, and the interest rate that's associated with the mortgage.